Welcome to the Tasty Planet Radio Show. I'm your host, Scott Dick, and I'm live in studio today. Not really. This is a pre-recorded interview, and I thought I'd take a chance to sit down with Dave Potter and talk to him about his candidacy for Monterey County Supervisor. Welcome to the Scott Dick Show. I'm your host. This is a pre-recorded interview with candidate Dave Potter, our supervisor from the 5th District. Welcome to the show, Dave.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Dave, let's get right down to it. This is your 16th year as Monterey County Supervisor?
That's correct.
And there's a lot of stuff going back and forth about you and your record, and you do have 16 years worth of a record to examine. Let's just get the big elephant out right now and all of the rumors and stuff about this FPPC investigation. Can you address that just straight on?
Well, I'd say it falls under the heading as you just entitled it as rumors. There's absolutely no substance to it. One of our local characters, Ed Mitchell's been running around spreading a bunch of rumors, quite frankly, to help facilitate his own personal and political agenda. He aspires to be a supervisor in North County. And so I think it makes him look like he's really in the know. I know Mr. Del Piero's been out stirring the pot in Sacramento trying to create something substantive when there's absolutely nothing there. Steve Collins certainly is no friend of mine. He ran against me. I have absolutely no personal association with him. My only connection with him is he professed to be the water guru from the Salinas Valley, and he was chair of the Water Resources Agency for the county, and had been the point man on the desal project. And quite frankly, the Board of Supervisors foolishly trusted him. He fooled all of us. And I've got absolutely no connection. Fact of the matter is, actually, Mark Del Piero, a few years ago, made a contribution to Mark. It's disclosed in his Form 490. And we actually discovered that Mark's given him money, and I've certainly never given him a dime.
So when an FPPC does an investigation, do they contact the targets? Have you been contacted by the FPPC? When you say
Yeah, actually, they came, they interviewed me for about 20 minutes. I was very clear. I've got no connection with them whatsoever. I actually think his defense is most peculiar, and that is that he went out and did what he did, and subsequently he was indicted on 26 plus charges of fraud. Because he was told by the Board of Supervisors to go do it. I think, Scott, if I told you to go down and hold up Bank of America and you went and did it, I don't think your defense in court would hold up if you said, well, gee, Potter told me to rob the bank. It's a pretty weak defense, to be quite frank with you. And also, as a public official, people can say anything they want about you. They can make any allegations they want, and there's not much I can do about it. If I said it to you as an individual, I went out and said, Scott's a known pedophile, you'd sue me for slander. I can't do anything about it. Otherwise, I simply get called up before the FPPC, and the FPPC investigates. They don't indict. They don't convict. The worst that ever happens is somebody gets fined.
Right.
When I ran against Steve Collins years ago, Steve Collins got one of the largest fines ever from the FPPC for basically laundering money incorrectly. Those are the consequences. But I'm confident that there's absolutely nothing to be found, since I've done absolutely nothing wrong. But investigations go on, and they go on for an incredibly long time. I think if there's anything that I'd appreciate getting done, is I'd like to be exonerated as soon as possible instead of just having it hang out there.
Right, because it's just a cliff that everybody's waiting for you to go over, and if it's especially punishing during election season to be able to fling that out there and say, oh, he's under investigation for the PPC, when actually that's not really the case. If you've been interviewed once, it doesn't seem like there's much there.
No, the DA didn't look at it. I mean, there's nothing, and I just think there's so many frivolous charges that the FPPC has to deal with that they just take forever to get to them because they got such a work overload.
Let me ask you a question about sitting on boards, because I know you're on, I think, something like 18 boards.
I am on quite a few. They don't all meet on a daily basis. Some of them meet quarterly. I just came from, I chair a state committee on rail transportation on the coast of California, San Francisco to San Diego. I came from a meeting there in San Luis Obispo yesterday, but that body only meets quarterly.
Well, I was going to ask you more about, when people are appointed to boards, especially boards that are under the Brown Act or have to do with public entities, don't they go through mandatory ethics training?
Oh, absolutely. My colleague Simone Salinas, when he was in the state assembly, created a bill that every 2 years, every elected official in the state has to have an ethics training. Because the laws are apt to change, you need a refresher course. So we go through it every 2 years.
The Collins story reminds me of this case where this four-star general misused government transportation and claimed that he didn't know that he could use a 747 or 707, whatever it was, as his personal aircraft. And so for Steve Collins to claim that he didn't know what he was doing was wrong, I just want to remind people that everybody that sits on these boards goes through ethics training.
Well, certainly, and it also falls under the heading of ignorance of the law is no excuse.
Right. All right, so that seemed to me to be the big elephant in the room. The other one that is bugging people, or should I say have them on edge, is about water. And the whole idea that somehow, well, I'll just say it, they blame you that we don't have a water solution. It's Dave Potter's fault. He's the chair of the Water Management District Board now. He's been on the Board of Supervisors forever. So just get it out there. Why is it, or is it not your fault that we don't have a solution to our water problem?
Well, I would say that...
And you're smiling because the question
Well,
is...
I'd like to think that I'm that powerful that I've actually created that much trouble, but I think one of the prices you pay for leadership in any position is criticism. And if you don't want to be criticized, then don't do anything. So I don't quite understand the way this is supposed to wash. If I didn't do anything, how come I'm such a lightning rod these days for the project moving forward? What I will say is that if you look at the things that have been done in this county water-wise, you'd be extremely impressed if you look at it from a contemporary water project standpoint. The Water District, for example, has an aquifer storage and recovery project, one of the most contemporary ways of storing water versus the ancient archaic way of doing it, which is building new dams.
Right.
And they're hard to build. In fact, we're decommissioning one here. This district leads the state of California in conservation. The average consumer in the state of California uses about 225 gallons of water a day. State desired goal is about 125. Our average consumer uses about 85. That's a self-imposed rationing that this community said, we're going to do the best we can to save water. You have world-class golf courses, Pebble Beach, being irrigated with treated waste, and they're internationally renowned. You have produce shipped around the world, irrigated with treated wastewater. If you look at the artichoke fields in Castroville, that's all irrigated with treated waste. If you look at the Salinas Valley, we just did the Salinas Valley Water Project, a rubber dam that inflates at the end of the season to store water to help offset saltwater intrusion. And we have dams both on the Carmel River and in the Salinas Valley area. So there is not a contemporary form of water that is not taking place in this area. And there are existing desal facilities ringing Monterey Bay, all the way from University of Santa Cruz, all the way to the Monterey Bay Aquarium. I think what we need to do is we need to go ahead and say, we're going to move forward with a desal project. Now, if it hadn't been for Mr. Collins, if it hadn't been for the stupidity of CalAm and the Marina Coast Project and Mr.
From RMC?
Yeah, exactly.
I forgot his name.
I cannot remember his name either. The hiring of the chair of the Water Resources Agency to go ahead and basically what I consider to be hiring influence with the Board of Supervisors. That was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen happen, and a major killer for the project. So I think we need to partner with CalAm. I've said that. I think I've said that they need a public partner. I think it should be the Water Management District, and I think the sooner CalAm wakes up and realizes that, the sooner we'll get something done. But when you're out in front trying to get something done, you're going to get criticized.
Absolutely.
I'm used to it.
And it goes back to the one person on any kind of board, whether they're appointed or elected. It seems to me doesn't have more than their share of power. In other words, how could they blame you? You sit with 6 other people, 5 of them elected, 2 of them appointed, and it's Dave Potter's fault.
Well, and you're absolutely right, Scott. When you're the chair of something, you're no more than a parliamentarian. You run meetings. I can't opine and represent the body as having my beliefs. I have to register the beliefs and the votes that have been taken by that agency. I can't put my own wants and wishes ahead of what the body has done as a whole. So you are not all of a sudden, dictator of the year. You are simply the representative of that body. You're a spokesman and a meeting manager. That's it.
Okay. So the next one that seems to be troubling for a lot of people still is this Whispering Oaks, the Monterey Downs issue. It's a big emotional deal. You're on the fora. You've been there since the very beginning, right?
Since the days it was founded, yes.
So I'm laughing because talk about a snake pit.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, I just got off the phone with a reporter who asked me very directly. Said, Dave, why do you care about fora? I mean, what you're getting clobbered these days because you're advocating for the extension of fora. Why do you care? And I said, well, you're right. It's a good question because I am getting criticized for advocating for the extension of fora and the economic redevelopment of that base. And it's because I believe we have a social, a moral, an economic obligation to the cities of Marina, Seaside, Salinas, and the county, and perhaps even to the greater Tri-County region, that when the base closed, we said we'd put some jobs back there. It's a 27,000 acre base. 20,000 acres got put in open habitat and recreation. The base had 37,000 people working and living there. We said we'll put back 18 to 20,000 of those jobs, but they'll be sustainable, long-term jobs, not the transient jobs that were there before. And I don't think we can walk away from that promise. I mean, Seaside and Marina, they're two communities that are, of a lower economic income than the district I represent. But I certainly, as a county supervisor, feel I'm supposed to represent all of the county, not just the economic interests of the peninsula. So this is a valuable asset. The base has been closed for quite a while. It hasn't gone forward as aggressively as people would like, but I don't think anybody predicted the economic collapse that we've seen nationally, and it's hurt us locally. So when we look at projects that are coming forward out there, I'm going to look at them, all of them. I'm not going to have a knee-jerk no reaction to this. The Monterey Downs project wants to make application, and it appears it has a good underpinning of real jobs, new jobs, sustainable jobs. I'm going to take a look at it, and I'm not going to say immediately, gee, I don't like the way it looks, because I don't know really what it looks like yet. And I think we have an obligation to say to the economic development community, well, we're Monterey County. We want to see if you fit in this town, in this community. Is this the right thing? And we can say no. But as we get into the EIR process, these issues that people are concerned about, they'll surface, whether it's adequate water, whether it's transportational impacts, whether it's impacts to habitat and the environment. But that's all part of the EIR process. So just telling everybody to go away, I don't think helps this community economically. I chair, in fact, I founded the Economic Opportunity Committee. And that's an opportunity for the community to look at what is our potential around here? Where do we want to build? We don't want to build on Prime Ag. We don't want to build in Carmel Valley. We don't want to build on the coast. That was a closed military base with armed sentries at the gates. There's an opportunity to look at that property and say, this isn't sprawl, it isn't uncontrolled growth, it's smart growth. It's infilled between the cities of Marina and the city of Seaside. And there's an urban growth boundary, and that's the boundary of the BLM land, the new monument area. There, you can't build beyond there. So when you talk about containing it and putting it in an appropriate place with the right kind of infrastructure, this isn't a bad place to build. I think it's our best opportunity.
So with you said 27,000 acres, 20,000 acres in just prime habitat.
Open space, habitat, and recreation.
So what we're talking about is 7,000 acres.
Yeah.
And how many of those acres are the proposals to build on?
Well, the base reuse plan, the approved reuse plan, is the guideline for the development of that 7,000 acres. That was the recipient of Architects Institute of America National Award for base reuse. Of all the bases that were closed at that time, this was the #1 model for reuse. As you head south on 1, going by the base, if you look to your right, what were the old rifle ranges and all of the small arms fire that went on there, that's now the largest natural dune habitat on the West Coast. And there's proposed to be a state park there. And in these times of shrinking state budgets, the state's actually going to go ahead and develop that park, realizing that it's such a desirable place, it's such an appropriate place for that kind of recreational opportunity. They believe it'll be a moneymaker for the state of California.